I'm going to start by welcoming everybody this evening to this meeting. We are going to be having a presentation first, and after the presentation, we will open the floor to questions. You will be able to ask questions in the Facebook chat or in the Zoom chat. And if I can answer them, then I'll try to. And if I can't, I will certainly call on the folks from Splashifax who would be able to answer it. This is the basic agenda for the evening. We're going to be talking about why we're here, what we hope to accomplish, what some of the ground rules are. We're going to run through a lot of the information on what the water park is, open it up to questions and answers, and provide further contact information. This is going to be, you can see in the corner of the Zoom screen, and obviously on Facebook, this is going to be recorded. So we will be able to revisit it basically just for information purposes. The first part of it is, why are we here? And this is what we all found out 2 weeks ago. Splashifax is planning to set up and manage a water park on First Lake. This is something that they had live on their website and on their Facebook page on April 27th. And many people were pleased and many people were concerned, and all of us wanted more information. So I put this information session together so that we can find that additional information, find out about the park, and I'd like to thank Splashifax for helping out with it. They want to work with communities around First Lake to bring a fun, safe, and COVID-friendly activity this summer. And gosh knows, we could use more fun and more getting outdoors and enjoying the weather. What can we accomplish tonight? Just an understanding of who Splashifax is as a company. We can learn a bunch about the water park, about how it'll work with the lake and our community, and about what's left to be done before it goes live, basically. And we, myself and Splashifax, are going to do our best to answer anybody's questions. This is just one step in the middle of the process. As I've said, after tonight, you will still be able to contact us by email. My email and phone number are at the bottom of the screen. So feel free to get in touch about all of this. I am the moderator for the evening. I will be the MC. All of the questions and concerns and everything else will run through me. If you're going to get concerned or upset or whatnot, I completely understand that. We are still going to do what we can. I would ask everybody to be courteous and respectable. We are here to present the best information that we can to you. We're here to learn about the water park, and we plan on finishing by 9:30. One person would be able to address us at a time. We are going to try and deal with one question at a time as it comes in through Facebook or through the Zoom chat. I'm just going to go through my notes as well. That basically covers it for that one. So at this point, I'd like to introduce Splashifax. And starting with Dave Wolpin. Dave, are you there?
Yep, I'm here. Hello.
Thank you. And John Rasenberg. John, are you there?
Yes, I am. Good to see everybody.
Good to see you. And Jess Urquhart, are you there?
Hi, everybody.
We didn't see you on the camera.
Should I pop up?
There you are.
Hi.
Yeah, okay, thank you. And Nick Jeffries.
Hi, everybody.
There we go, thank you. And so Dave and John are the owners of Splashifax. Jess is the general manager. Nick is the facility manager, as it says on the slide here. their contact information. The contact email is hello@splashifax.com. This is a private company operating out of Halifax. There are no government funds involved. One of the questions was, is this company receiving any government funds? And there aren't any except for the Canada Summer Jobs Grant. And I have no involvement in the company whatsoever. I am here to facilitate this meeting and make sure that we get the right information and that things are okay as far as it moving forward. So where is the park going to be? The park is going to be located on the shore of First Lake, about halfway between the Kinsman Beach and the Sackville Canoe Club. It's going to be hanging off the back of the Sackville Arena. We will be able to use the Sackville Arena parking lot to park cars there to get to the park. And there is also the overflow parking in the Sobeys parking lot next door. One of the interesting things is the size of the water park to the size of the lake. It is a relatively small footprint on the lake. And what we're looking at here is a picture of the lake with the water park imposed with a map of the depths imposed on it. And the first line out from the shore of the lake is the 3-meter depth. Everything in the water park will be will have 3 meters of water below it. This is based on a map. I found a couple of maps online, and this is one of the ones that goes back a couple of decades as far as the depth of the map. The layout of the water park, zooming in a little bit, it will have a walkway, a gangplank, a dock that is about 60 meters long, and then it'll go out to the park itself. The park will extend for another 72 meters, and it'll be about 68 meters wide. There might be some changes in the dimensions depending on what it looks like when the company that is setting up the dock does the setup of the dock. This is what it will look like a little bit more in depth. So we will have a tugboat at the top, the unicorn at the bottom, and the rest of the park structure in the middle. One of the differences about this from what the park will actually look like is the yellow barrier that goes around this. This is the safety barrier. This will extend on the outside of the entire park. Here's another rendering. And again, the colors will be a little bit different, and the floating perimeter will be surrounding the entire park. The moorings, there will be a network of 15 to 18 moorings underneath the park, 2 moorings for the walkway, and in addition to the 15 to 18 underneath the park itself. They will be put in place by a company that does these for a living. So this will be a completely separate contractor to take care of this, one who has expertise in this type of thing. The vegetation is not expected to be disturbed, and the mooring removal obviously will be based on the advice of the Department of the Environment. As far as ownership of the area, this has been a big question as well. Who owns the actual area, especially of the trees in relation to the area? And the answer is the Lake District Recreation Association. This is a map from the GIS system that HRM uses. So this is showing where the trail is, where the park property is, that it is 91 First, where the arena property is, 91 First Lake, and the purple area is what HRM owns. And we can see that a large chunk of the trees are on LDRA property, and about a third to a halfway to the opening with a gazebo is where HRM starts owning the land. The purple line here obviously is the First Lake Loop Trail. The green line is the Kinsman Park Trail, and you can see what the rest of it is. One of the questions as well was what will happen to trail access? And through the entire process, Splashifax has maintained that everyone will continue to have full access to the trail. There will be infrastructure on both sides of it, but the trail itself will not be blocked. There will be no impediments about using the trail itself. So what will it look like on the shore? On the shore, you would park in the Sackville Arena parking lot, proceed to behind the Sackville Arena where Splashifax will have their stuff set up. There will be a ticket booth. There will be cubbies for you to store your phone or whatever else. There will be limited stalls for changing. The orange square will have a ticket collector, and then there's the floating dock to the water park. We'll go into some of that in more detail in a couple of minutes. Other amenities that are around here, there will be a food stand hosted by Lee's Lemonade. This will be operated by, again, Lee's Lemonade, who is a regular food service vendor, so they will be taking care of all of the food stuff. The white rectangles along the shore would be about 20 picnic tables, and these would be on the LDRA property. There will be washrooms available inside the arena, and once again, the trail access will not be restricted in any way. Your experience when you arrive at the park, or when you want to get on the park, you will arrive, get your ticket online, fill out a waiver, and you'll be emailed a safety video before you arrive. You arrive 30 minutes early, check in with the registration desk, and get an identification bracelet for your time slot. There will be defined time slots through the day with breaks in the middle to take care of some cleaning, but we'll look at that in a couple of minutes as well. You will be getting a life jacket from the folks at Splashifax, and you can put your shoes and any clothes and stuff in a cubby. Proceed down to the Splashifax Trail Crossing Guard at the orange square that we looked at earlier. Wait till there's a safe time to cross, head down to the dock, jump in the water and have fun. Most people will stay in the water for 45 to 60 minutes. This is an energetic activity, so it will wear people out after 45 to 60 minutes. At the end of the session, the lifeguard will announce that it's time to leave. Proceed back to the dock. We will need to insist that you maintain social distancing in accordance with all of the public health regulations. On the shore, you dunk your life jacket in a provided barrel and then hang it on to dry on the provided racks. And the provided barrel will take care of some of the disinfecting of it. And you grab your items from your car and head back to your car. Days and hours of operation, it will be open from 10 a.m. until 8 p.m., 7 days a week. And there will be 6 time slots through the day when it will be open, with a 10-minute break in between them. And this will allow for sanitization of the life jackets, and so that the lifeguards can have breaks and various other things. In addition, there will be a maximum of 50 people allowed in each session. So this will have a number of people going out, a number of people coming back, and then it'll proceed from there. The next one, customer security. Please leave your valuables in the car. Please use environmentally safe sunscreen because you'll be in the water. You're encouraged to shower once you get home. We'll get more into that in a little bit later. There will be no shower facilities at the site, and no food or drink will be allowed at the site. And there will also be no alcohol or other intoxicants allowed at the site. Water safety, there will be lifeguards on site. First aid equipment will be available. Everyone will need to be in a life jacket. How many lifeguards, and will there be a rescue boat? There will be a ratio of 1 lifeguard to every 20 participants. The industry standard is 1 lifeguard to every 20 to 30 participants. So this is having the higher number of lifeguards for that ratio. And there will be two rescue boats with electric trolling motors. We've seen the yellow barricades that would go around it, just as a perimeter, as a safety area. And security people will be there to make sure that people don't access the equipment from the water. Through the day, the staff will take care of it, but there will also be security there through the night when the park is closed. And there is no problem getting in touch with the police should someone not pay attention to the direction from the people through the day or through the evening. Water quality. This is a huge issue for First Lake, and this is something that we have talked an awful lot about, both with Splashifax and with everybody around the community. The lake water quality has been a challenge, has been a problem for years. And so Splashifax will be testing the water for the amount of E. coli every week, and will be posting the results on their website. Sackville, just a little bit further down, has been doing their own water testing, and they have, as far as I know, always found the water to be clear. So it seems like there is a water problem at Kinsman Beach, but we haven't had a broad range of testing of the water around the rest of First Lake. This is something that I have taken a huge interest in, working with the Friends of First Lake, and I've also gotten HRM to recently approve $150,000 to have the E. coli analyzed so we can identify the source of it and see what we can do to correct the E. coli problem on First Lake. Cleaning the water park and registration area. So this will be done regularly. Spot cleaning will be done on the water park itself. This would use lake water that is brought up from around the water park and used to clean the lake. There will be no chemicals out on the water park itself. And the registration area will be regularly disinfected, and the life jackets will be cleaned with an environmentally friendly COVID disinfecting solution. Nighttime noise and lights. The security guard will be on site whenever the park is closed. No music will be played at the park. There was originally a discussion about music being played at the registration area. This would be through a small speaker. There would certainly be no music out on the water itself. And there will be no major lights through the night. This was one of the questions that came in as well. There will be small flashing lights around the park at night, just to act as a safety perimeter, basically, and to make sure that nighttime boaters know that it's there, and just make it a little bit more safe. There were concerns and questions about inflating the water park. And what most people envisioned were things like the bouncy castles, where you have a fan pumping air into it actively, and the fan would just keep on going for as long as the castle or whatever was inflated. Or last year we had the fan going while the movie screen in front of the bingo center was inflated, and it was going for hours. The water park is different. The water park will be more like a balloon. It will be inflated at the beginning of the season. It'll be inflated on shore, and then the pieces will be taken out to the lake. If they need to be reinflated through the summer, there will be a hose taken out to the different items that need to be reinflated. There will be no pump running on the water at all, and there will be no compressors continuously running. There will be no noise from that, except through the day when it occasionally needs to be reinflated. There was a question about the safety and the environmental friendly nature of the material, and it will be made from PVC material, the same material as the PVC water pipes in our homes. And there is some technical information about that on the slide as well. Basically, it fits the European Union's health regulations. It has been described as completely safe following the manufacturer's regulations. Staffing levels. There were concerns about or questions about how many people would be on staff at all times. While the park is open, on slower days, there will be 5 to 10 people on site. On busier days, there will be 15 to 20 people on site. This would be all the time that it is open. And night security will be on site when the park is closed. Once again, the lifeguard ratio is 1 lifeguard to 20 participants, and the ratio is shown there as well. The very last line, 1 security person will be on site overnight and will be there all night. Garbage. This has been a huge concern as well. There will be multiple garbage receptacles on site, and they will be emptied multiple times a day. One of the discussions that we had was what would happen through the night, and the security person in the initial discussion would be collecting the garbage as well. The nighttime facility coordinators would ensure that any remaining garbage is cleaned up for the next day. And this includes garbage not just from the, that isn't related to Splashifax. I lost that sentence, forgive me. And Splashifax will also conduct regular shore cleanups while they're open for business. Permits. This has been a huge question. We'll just leave this as is. Splashifax is currently working with the following departments: planning and development with the city, environment with the province, and Transport Canada with the government of Canada to ensure that the right permits are in place. That work is ongoing. COVID compliance, there will be a COVID compliance officer on site to make sure that all of the guidelines of provincial health are being followed. And why First Lake? This was one of the more interesting questions. Why was First Lake chosen instead of other lakes around HRM or instead of other areas? HRM has 1,000 lakes. So first of all, why Nova Scotia? Well, there is a floating park already in PEI in New Brunswick, and Nova Scotia doesn't have one. Why First Lake? First Lake is central. It has lots of public use. It has ample parking, and there are recreation facilities around a large portion of the lake. So it seemed to Splashifax to be a lake that would be amenable to having a large water park structure around it. So at this point, I would like to open up the open up the chat to any questions. You can enter your questions in the Zoom chat or in the Facebook chat. We will be able to respond to questions until about 9:30 in the evening. And afterwards, if you have any questions, you are free to email hello@splashifax.com or email me at paul.russell@halifax.ca. With that, I will stop sharing my screen. Wow, there are a fair amount of questions. First question from Lauren Piercy. Are there plans for future expansion of the water park? I would ask someone from Splashifax to address that.
I can grab that. So,
Okay.
first, I might just take a quick opportunity to give everybody a little bit more than just our name as an introduction, and then we can start answering questions, and we can start with Lauren's. My name's Dave. I grew up in New Brunswick. I went to school here in Halifax. I went to University of King's College and at Dalhousie. I started a business here in the city in Halifax. I then went back to New Brunswick and I started an organic farm, which I ran for 10 years, and also a grocery store. And so that was most of my life so far. And about 3 years ago, I moved back to Halifax to pay a little more attention to my business here. And if you've read the About Us or the Our Story section of our website, you know that about a year and a half ago, my friend John, who I've known for almost a decade, said, "Hey Dave, you want to open a water park with me?" And I said, no. And we looked into it for a couple of weeks, and he batted around the idea. And I said, sure, why not? Let's do it. And then the same day that I put the deposit on the water park was the same day the first case of COVID was announced in Canada. So we put everything on hold until a couple months ago. And then things were looking pretty nice here in Halifax for a while. Until the most recent outbreak. So just to clarify a couple quick things that I noticed in the chat, this is all COVID dependent. This is all COVID dependent. I mean, if we have to delay opening because of COVID, then we delay opening. If people don't get their vaccines and the variants take hold, and I mean, none of us want to see that happen, and we can't open at all this summer because of COVID, then we don't open. But our hope, certainly, and now they're down to age 40, is that the vaccine rollout will continue. In other countries, we've seen a sharp drop, and once vaccine rollout happened, and so that's the hope, and we just hope to have something fun to look forward to. The reason John and I both have other businesses. The reason we're doing this is because we thought it would be fun. We're both entrepreneurs. We've both been in businesses our whole adult lives, and even younger than that for both of us. And we've never done a business together. And we thought this would be something fun to do together. The one other thing I'll say before I let John introduce himself is that 18 months ago, we did our research. John can speak to this a little more. We spoke, John can mention it, but John was the one that did all the phone calls. You know, he called about 30 different people, as he says, and spoke to different levels of government, different regulatory bodies. And we got the green light in terms of there was nothing that specifically referenced specific permits that we needed at the time. Because we don't have any permanent infrastructure. We're a temporary thing that gets packed up at the end of the season, gets put back in the shipping containers, and is stored until the next season. Now that there are some concerns, things are getting looked at. We're in discussion with multiple regulatory bodies. Any permits that we need, we're applying for. Anything that we need to get, anything we need to meet, any regulations we need to meet. Both John and I have been in regulated businesses before. We're here to cooperate and also want to be great neighbors. And so anyway, I'll let John introduce himself.
I'm sorry, with all due respect, can we get to the answers of the questions at some point? I know we have limited time.
Peggy, I'm going to.
We have an hour, and we want to answer as many questions, but I think we should introduce ourselves. Yeah, go ahead.
One of the things is I would ask everybody to remain on mute, and Dave will be answering the question that was asked, which was, are there plans for the future expansion of this water park?
I'll answer that question right now, just before we move on. I do want my team to introduce themselves, but I'll answer that question specifically right now, just before John introduces himself. So, future expansion, we've talked about, adding like a piece or a different feature, but we don't have any plans to, make the thing like that much bigger, or like, we're not doubling the size of it or anything. Currently, First Lake is 202.6 acres. We take up less than an acre. If you do the math, we're 0.4% of, so we're about less than 0.5% of the lake. So no, we don't have any plans for any major additions. There are things like specific features that we would think about adding, but that's contingent on the popularity. If nobody likes it, then no, we wouldn't be able to afford to. If it's loved, if we get people on side, if everybody has fun, then we'd look at adding specific features, but not a whole, other water park, so to speak. John?
Yeah. I'll introduce myself. I know everyone has lots of questions, so I'll keep it short and we'll get to answering your questions. I've, like Dave, been an entrepreneur most of my life. I spent a decade, I owned a tree planting company and have planted hundreds of millions of trees all across Canada. Not Nova Scotia or New Brunswick though. And then I came out for university to New Brunswick, and I've been in New Brunswick for the last 10 years between tree planting, running, involved with different businesses here. And like I said, Dave introduced, I was involved in a trampoline park at one point, so I kind of dipped my toes in family entertainment, and that is how we got connected with this water park here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We have a question from Catherine Minty. You say there's overflow parking at Sobeys, but have run into issues with being advised not to park there as it restricts parking for their businesses. Have the owners of that facility agreed to be overflow parking? And over to Dan or John.
I'll take that one.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, so we're only going to be 50 participants at a time. I don't think it'll be one car to one participant, so I think we're less than that. There's over 270 parking spaces in the just on the LR, like on our side with the rink. So we're really not anticipating having a parking issue, considering that because we have sessions and it's only so many people per session. I would think our total car allowance would reasonably be less than 100. And in considering that there's very few other daytime events at the hockey rink during the summer, they seem to not be concerned about it. So we're not, we're anticipating it to be sufficient.
Thank you. The next question is from Jeffrey Thibault. It sounds like we're here to discuss something inevitable. Why was the community not involved in discussion? Second question is also, do any of the owner operators live in this community, or are they just using our community to make money? So I first, I'm going to talk about the background that I've had with the park a little bit. Last year, I got a call from, I think it was John. We spoke a couple of times over the phone. And then this year, we found out more about it 2 weeks ago tonight, when it was launched on the Facebook page and on the website. So we have worked together over the past couple of weeks to find out the information that we could and to put this community discussion together, this public information meeting. This isn't the type of community meeting that it would be nice to have. But this is a lousy year, just like last year was a lousy year because of the virus. And so we are doing what we can. We're acting as quickly as we can and making sure that we're able to get all of the information out there that we can. So this is the community feedback session that we have set up at this point. Should there be a need, we can certainly set up another one. You are also able to freely get in touch with Splashifax at hello@splashifax.com, or you can get in touch with me at paul.russell@halifax.ca. And do any of the owner operators live in this community? Dave lives in Halifax, and I'm not sure where anybody else lives.
Jess and Nick both live here as well. John's the only one that doesn't live here. But yes, I live in Halifax. My mom grew up on First Lake. My dad lived in Halifax for a number of years as well. And actually both my parents live here now. And I have a whole bunch of family in Lower Sackville, and probably family that have taught some of you in the Zoom and some of your kids.
Thank you. There was a question about, is that image to scale? So I'm going to share my screen again and would look for someone from Splashifax to confirm that that image is basically to scale.
Yeah, that's correct, Paul. That's to scale. We had a friend of mine who's a surveyor do the drawing, and he did it to scale. So that's correct. So right now, the park would be at about 0.5% of the surface area of the lake.
And it will be that far offshore. When we look at the comparison of that to the rest of the lake, it will not impede the activities that are going along at Sackville. And by sharing my screen, I've lost where the questions are. There we are.
I just want to add that pretty early on, we had a meeting with Sackville, and they were concerned about, you know, their use of the lake. And that meeting was so fun and exciting that we have some agreements that are being developed between Sackville and us to do a lot of collaborative business together. So we're already talking about different ways that we can work together and giving some of the day camp participants access to the water park and et cetera. I also just want to add a quick note about parking. LDRA has a agreement with Sobeys already for overflow parking. I just got a text from LDRA about that.
Okay, thank you. Patty Green says, I'm assuming that a full environmental impact assessment will be shared. I'm not sure what the degree of the environmental impact assessment will be done when Splashifax will be working with the Department of the Environment with the province. If there is an environmental impact assessment done, Dave or John, would you share that on your website?
Yeah, so we've spoken to a dozen people in both federal and provincial Department of Environment. So there is a few regulations that they're looking at us to comply with. One would be about the moorings. The other one would be about how our inflatable water park would affect transportation on the lake, and there's a permit required with that. So we're in the process of doing that. We're just not allowed to impede, unreasonably impede access to the rest of the lake. So we're going through that with them right now. There's a review process, and you know, we'll see where that comes out. We're pretty optimistic it won't be an issue. There is no requirement as of yet that has been presented to us by any bodies that require an environmental impact study. If there was, we would of course comply, but it does not seem that that is necessary.
I guess I also want to add to that point that and this is a personal response. If like I farmed organically for 10 years, I now supply farms all across Atlantic Canada with, you know, greenhouses, hoop houses, and other farm supplies. Most of my customers are organic farms. I was raised in an environmental activist family. I find some novelty in the fact that, you know, I've now co-purchased a water park made of PVC that we're blowing up. It is, to me, kind of silly based on my background. So, but I'm doing it because it's also loads of fun, and I just can't stop thinking about how hilarious the unicorn is and how much fun this is going to be. So I'm stating that because if I thought that we were going to have a serious negative impact on the lake, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. I just simply wouldn't have agreed to do it. My parents wouldn't. I would be getting annihilated by my parents. John knows my parents. It just wouldn't go. They'd be fighting me. They'd be like starting a protest. So I just wanted to share the background that I come from. You know, I don't take I take environmental stewardship very seriously.
Thank you. Have any environmental impact studies been performed? I believe that's been answered. Do we still access the park pathways? I assume you mean the First Lake Park pathways. There will be nothing impeding use or access to the First Lake trails. So that will be fine. Aaliyah Brown says this is small compared to the lake. According to who? The size of the park is about 0.4% of the lake, and there are some who would say that that is pretty small. And when you look at the size of the park itself, that it is 72 by 68 meters, that could sound large. So it is, that one is a matter of interpretation. Ken Landry says, not to us who live around the lake. Sounds like that is in relation to the size question again. Gillian Lanchel says, the Department of the Environment has told us that we cannot manipulate the shoreline at all as residents around the lake due to environmental concerns. Is this being followed? There are two pieces of this that are being followed. One of them is what happens above the high water mark, and HRM is responsible for the land and a 20-meter setback from the high water mark. This is around all of the lake. Below that, the surface of the water and below the high water mark is the responsibility of the provincial government. And so that is being followed as well. So Splashifax and HRM and the Department of the Environment have been in touch about that. Is it planned to cut down the trees? There would be, I can speak to the regulatory side of things around that, and would ask Dave or John to speak to more specifics around that. On the regulatory side, that would have to fit within the regulations that HRM has and the 20-meter setback from the high water mark. So that would be working with the planning department. Dave or John, do you know if any trees are planned to be cut down?
We are not cutting any trees down, nor have we, and we're not doing anything to the shoreline. The dock is being accessed by a 20-foot aluminum ramp that will be anchored by a temporary. It'll be resting on the shore, but we're not cutting out the shore. We're not doing anything to the shoreline at all.
Correction.
John,
Sorry, correction.
Hello, I'm going to Laura, hi. I appreciate the interjection. I'm going to mute you for now, and we can get back to your comment a little bit later. I would like to run through the comments that are in the chat at this point. So if you wouldn't mind holding off for a little bit, thank you very much. What is the policy on moorings from the Department of the Environment? It is my understanding that there is no mooring policy. At this point, that is something that Splashifax is working with the Department of the Environment to work through. Jillian's iPhone, this will likely be covered, but what is the plan for safety supervision and risk management from an aquatics perspective? Where will you hire from? How will you train staff? What certifications will they require? So I'm going to ask John or Dan to respond to this.
Yeah, I can do that. We have advertised on a bunch of different locations that we have job openings. We have received hundreds of job applications of young people who don't have a lot of opportunities this summer because of shutdowns related to COVID. So we're really excited with the quality of applicants that we've been getting. We're going to be hiring over 15 qualified lifeguards to work there, as well as front staff to a reception. So we'll be doing, everyone has to have first aid training, everyone has to have a criminal record check, and all of our lifeguards are Canadian Life Saving Society trained. As well as we'll have a full policy for staff policies related to harassment and all the other policies required by our insurance company.
Thank you. Question from Andrew Roof, just looking for confirmation that the dock is 196 feet long. According to the diagrams, it is 60 meters offshore, and by my quick math, that is about 196 feet long. And then the splash park would come after that. Part of the reason for that is because the splash park needs to be in an area of the lake that is at least 3 meters deep. And because of the slope of the lake, it has to be out that far.
We actually need 2.5 meters, but there's concern about, we just don't want to impact any. It's our understanding that fish habitat is 2 feet to 9 feet, for spawning. So we want to make sure we get to 3 meters. It's possible that 3 meters isn't that far precisely. We'll be measuring. And so ideally the dock wouldn't be that long. It maybe would be more like 50 meters. And also that 60-meter measurement is actually from a little bit closer to the shore. So I think the distance is actually probably around 50 meters. We're just gonna have to see when we set the moorings. That's when we'll be measuring the depth. And we have a local resident who knows the bottom of the lake very well that we're consulting with as well to help us figure that out.
Thank you. How can they not block the trail with people in lines, etc.? So there will be 2 sections. I'm just going to bring up the image related to that for a second. And what this shows is that people will be doing their thing, doing the checkout, having the cubbies behind the Sackville Arena, and then go and wait on one side of the trail, and there will be a ticket collector that will let people cross the trail appropriately. So there will be, they will make sure that the trail is absolutely free and clear to access by people around the lake. There will be no blocking of the trail. Just bear with me while I find the questions again. There are a lot of questions.
We were at like the questions that were like at 8:10 p.m.
Yep, I have that now, thank you. Traffic analyses must have been completed, assuming the congestion at the intersection coming out of the arena and Sobeys will be provided. I will hand it over to Dave and John. Do you know if a traffic impact study was completed? I'm not sure that one would have been when there are only 50 people allowed about every 50 minutes.
Yeah, the rink has the capacity of almost 1,900 people. So, I mean, they have their zoning that was determined at the time by the municipality to be acceptable. So I really don't anticipate that we're going to have an undue influence on that.
Okay, thank you.
If there are, we'll tell people, to not come, because we're only booking so many people an hour.
Right. Thank you. Has the traffic assessment been done, noise assessments, etc.? Well, the traffic assessment was just discussed, noise assessments. There would be noise from people on the park. We have discussed in the presentation that there would be no music. There will be no compressors running. Maybe that's something we can address separately if that doesn't answer it. I'm going to state, Jillian Lanchel says, I'm going to state the obvious here too. The Friends of First Lake have done a lot to make this a naturally beautiful area, not like this fits at all, or not feeling like this fits at all. Thank you very much, Jillian, for that comment. Jeffrey Tebow says, agree with Patty. Paul said he was going to look into reducing traffic. This is going to significantly increase traffic. I believe that has been discussed. So I'm going to move ahead from that one. Matthew Kane says, are you allowed to bring your own lunch to the picnic area? I believe the answer is yes, but I'm going to look to Dave and John for confirmation. There's a thumbs up from John. Okay.
The picnic tables won't be like anybody can use the picnic tables. And we're not going to kick somebody off a picnic table because they're not a Splashifax customer. We're not going to be, asking people if somebody wants to use a picnic table. If somebody just wants to watch, we don't care. The only thing you have to pay for is if you go out on the dock and out to the water park.
Okay, thank you. Patty Green says, so is the community consultation engagement session, or are we being told what is the inevitable? There are regulations that have to be met before this is allowed. It is not inevitable. They are working on it, but at this point, I would not say that this is inevitable. Laura Beth Smith says there is also a daycare at Kinsman Center next to the beach, small children, all under 6, traffic concerning. This will also need to be addressed. And so the traffic is, again, a concern. And there are a number of questions related to traffic. I believe that has been addressed, so I'm going to bypass those when we get to them. So the use of HRM facilities supported by HRM taxes, there are no HRM facilities in use here. The land is privately owned. HRM has control over the 20-meter setback from the lake, but there are no HRM facilities being used here. Will this operation pay business taxes to HRM? I'm not sure on that. I would have to check with the finance staff. I don't believe so, because the space is leasing the area from LDRA, so it would be the Lake District Recreation Association that is paying the tax.
We're a Nova Scotia corporation, so whatever taxes we owe, sales tax, payroll taxes, corporate tax, would all be paid, of course, like any corporation, and that would trickle down to HRM as, however
However that happens.
tax structure works.
Okay, but as far as the business taxes, which is a property tax, that would be the LDRA covering that. And again, Splashifax would be a tenant of theirs through a contractual obligation. So they would not be directly responsible for the tax. Can we bring or wear our own life jacket for self-assurance? I'm going to ask Dave and John. I think I know the answer, but I'm going to ask them anyway.
I think as long as it's a Canadian certified life jacket, Canadian Coast Guard certified, then that would be acceptable.
Okay. Peggy Heffler, are we supposed to have social distancing? We can't even visit our families. How is it? Yeah, are we supposed to have social distancing?
This is all COVID contingent. So all the COVID related questions, I appreciate them 100%. We're just as worried. I'm booking a vaccine appointment the minute they're allowed to 32-year-olds. So, you know, John's older than me. He'll be further ahead. But yeah, it's all COVID contingent.
Yeah, thank you. The question from Andrew Roof, talking about the sanitizer. This would be the sanitizer that is used to take care of the registration areas and the life jackets. Will that be going into the lake? So Dave or John, could you address the environmental nature?
I'll take that one. So we're going to be spraying or dunking, we haven't quite decided, our life jackets. So we've bought enough life jackets that we probably have around 400 life jackets. So we have more than enough time for the life jackets after they've been sanitized to hang and to dry before the next participant uses them. So, you know, and we're using a biodegradable, friendly one that we bought on purpose, just specifically so to have, you know, we care about the health of the lake.
Okay, thank you. Was there any consultation with HRM about the park gazebo used for weddings, et cetera, that was taken into consideration? That is a different area and different property. It would have no impact on this. And thank you very much for your comment, Peggy. I have no vested interest in this. That is absolutely correct. I am working to make sure that we get the right information and that we get our questions answered. How is environmentally friendly sunscreen being enforced?
That's a good question. So ultimately, people, we can't control people. We can only do our best. So it's going to be one of our rules. This is one thing that I care about. And we're planning to have the specific brands of sunscreen that are water quality friendly. We're planning to have those available for purchase at cost or something essentially at cost, just so that it's available. because if people don't want to bring their water quality friendly sunscreens, at least then we can have them available. But ultimately, all we can do is hope that other people are going to respect our rules, just like the rest of our rules. As far as I'm concerned, that's a safety rule, just like the rest of them, because it's the safety of people and the safety of water.
Thank you. Lauren Piercy says, so what about the view? Disrupted view to sunsets, wedding photos from the new Sackville deck. Don't really want to look at a pink unicorn. And I have heard a number of comments that mimic that. Thank you, Lauren, very much for your comment. Jeffrey Tebow says, so extra tax dollars for extra policing. We are hoping that the police won't need to be called too often, and the RCMP certainly are aware of this, and this is high on their radar about what's going on. We have the inspector from Sackville on the call with us this evening, and so he is certainly aware of the conversation and the concerns. Patty Green, agree with Lauren. The Kinsman is a social hub for the community, hosting holiday events. Will this be altered as a result of this for-profit venture? The Kinsman area is, again, on the other side of the trees. It's not that it won't be visible, but it would be able to be avoided by adjusting the direction of any cameras or anything else. I now understand the earlier comment about looking through the gazebo for the wedding pictures. That would be far enough away that hopefully it would be less impacted, or you would be able to work around it. Where is the documents from DNR showing that this is approved? That is in the works. Has anybody asked about accessibility? I'm going to leave that to Dave and John.
So yes, we actually had some local social media influencers reach out, and I had a conversation the other day with them. They're a couple, and one of the members of the couple is quadriplegic, does not have use of his limbs, and we had a very nice discussion about how people with his mobility limitations and also others can be included. And I took a number of notes. That this discussion, I don't know, was two days ago, I think. And it was in our notes. We've had a year and a half to think about a lot of these things. But accessibility has been a subject that has been discussed, and we want to encourage fun for all, safe fun for all. So it's being discussed.
Okay, thank you.
One of the things we did do directly, just to say, I'm in charge of getting the picnic tables built. 3 of the picnic tables that we're building are wheelchair accessible. There was one small thing that we could do.
Okay, thank you. Megan Hamilton, when were community members with views of the lake asked their opinions on this? We were not. Within the past 2 weeks, we have put this together. We are asking for your opinions. You are free to get in touch with Splashifax at the email address hello@splashifax.com, or with me at paul.russell@halifax.ca. And I will certainly share either the details or the summary of the emails that I received, whichever you would prefer. Water issues from Lauren Piercy. Water issues at the beach due to ducks. Water testing at the water slide is the diversion tactic. So there is going to be water testing done around the lake through this summer and through every summer that I'm the counselor, because I will be funding it through my funds. So the Friends of First Lake are going to be doing E. coli and general lake water quality testing at the runoff at the bottom of Pine Hill on Glendale, behind the Sackville Sports Stadium, at the Kinsman Beach, at Sakawa, and at the Suckabrook, and where the water exits the lake. And the reason for all of this is because we want to get a better picture of where the lake is healthy and where the lake is not healthy and how unhealthy it is. I also, again, have gotten HRM to agree to $150,000 to get a report to be done to analyze the E. coli to determine the source of it, so that we can work towards correcting that problem. So we are working to make sure that we have a more complete understanding. We, the Friends of First Lake, and I are working to make sure that we have a more complete understanding of the water quality issues. And in addition, Splashifax will be testing the E. coli count every week, and we'll be publishing that on their website. So it is a number of us working to make sure that the lake, that we understand the quality of the lake, and that we are going to try and improve it. Why is a business trying to set up in a lake that is next to a beach that is typically closed all summer due to E. coli? I'm going to start by saying, yes, the beach has been closed due to E. coli. Sackville has been doing testing for E. coli as well. And that is as far on the other side of the water park as the beach is on one side. So I will let John or I will invite John or Dave to answer the rest of that.
I can do it.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a huge concern of ours. So we did a bunch of research before we, early in the process for this. So there's a few water test studies that are out there that we found on the internet. So about how generally First Lake has actually one of the lakes in the HRM second best quality of water. The other thing that we reached out to was Sackville Canoe Club, because they run summer camps all summer long for years. They do water testing frequently, and they have not had an issue with the water tests that they've been doing at their site. So it seems to be that the issue is at the very shallow end of the lake at the beach, whether that's a combination of ducks or maybe some of the water. I know that Paul's working hard with their study this summer to try to figure out exactly where those E. coli contaminants are coming from. But we believe that we'll be far enough away and from the beach, Kinsman Beach, and deep enough out that it won't be an issue, and we'll be testing weekly and posting those results on our website, because we do understand and appreciate that it is a concern of the residents of HRM about the water quality.
And hopefully we can change the perception of First Lake, because people even think that, oh, First Lake is closed from E. coli. Well, that's not true. First Lake isn't closed. Kinsman Beach gets an advisory. Kinsman Beach can be closed. But I think it would be nice if we could change the perception of First Lake for everybody to know that it is a safe lake to swim in, and that it's a clean lake for all of you who live on it, especially for people to know that it's not a polluted lake, and it has a ways to go. There is work that can be done, and I know Paul is very involved in that, as well as Friends of First Lake.
Thank you. I'm going to skip ahead a couple of questions. Is there restoration to previous state in their budget?
We're going to be using non-toxic moorings in compliance with the Department of Natural Resources, which is just essentially a concrete block, which is considered non-toxic, non-emitting. So if we're still going through our mooring permit with them, if they require us to take out the moorings at the end of the summer, we will. And that's where that's at. So if we're required to take them out, we will. But essentially, by going farther out into the lake with a longer dock, we're going to be staying out of fish habitat, and it doesn't seem like we'll be required to, but we'll do as their guidelines require us.
Okay, that takes care of offshore. Can you answer about onshore, please?
We will not be changing the shoreline at all. We built this special ramp that comes up and over and down to our floating dock, which will not impede the or affect the shoreline at all. We'll be cutting down any trees. Other than a bit of raking, a little bit of trimming, we won't be affecting any of the shoreline vegetation.
And moving the picnic tables and things like that that are going to be along the shoreline?
It'll just be like raking and trimming any dead branches, anything like that. There won't be any, we're not moving soil.
Well, and landfill. Everything at the end of the season will be packed up. There'll be nothing at the end of the season.
Right.
Correct.
Okay, how is the site secured after hours? This was covered in the presentation, and so there will be a security guard on site the entire time that the park is closed. If there are people who come around the site, that security guard will try and discourage them from coming around, and if that doesn't work, then the security guard will be empowered to call the police. How will you be disposing of a barrel of disinfectant every day? From Travis Mesher or Laura Mesher.
I just looked it up here.
Just
Yeah.
while John's
So,
looking
yeah,
up.
so the botanical disinfectant solution that we're using, it's called BioEsk. We won't be spraying it or using it, on any of the parts of the park. It'll just be used to spray down life jackets as per COVID requirements, and then they'll be able to dry a significant period of time before they're used again in the lake.
So it was my misunderstanding. So the when people come off the water park, they would put their life jackets into a barrel. You would take them from the barrel
We'll
and
either
spray
dip
them.
it or spray it. We'll figure out which one functions the best, but then the life jackets will be drying. We have like over 400 life jackets, and only 50 people can go on at the park at a time. So we'll set up a drying rack where we can hang the jackets.
The question,
Right.
the question though was about if we dunk them, like how is that disposed of? So if it's a barrel,
Exactly.
we're talking about a disinfectant that is non-toxic. So this is something that is safe essentially to go down the drain. It's less harmful than bleach, which people use in their homes. So this isn't something that can't go down a drain. It's non-toxic. So the cleaning supplies we use in our homes are far more toxic than this. So we would be disposing of it by putting it down the drain.
By putting it down the drain in the arena?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Oh yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Nope. I'm just looking through the questions here. How will the impact of sunscreen on the lake be monitored? It looks like it might be thousands of people over the summer. That's a lot of sunscreen. True. We have had the sunscreen question addressed. We are currently at 9:07, and I'm going through questions that are 8:19. So I apologize if the answers have already been given. Why was this site chosen? It is a central lake. It has parking facilities around it. It has recreation facilities around it. I believe that was part of the presentation as well. The movie screen was there for a day at a time, not all day and night for the whole summer. That's correct. There were people there who were able to erect the movie screen last year in front of the bingo center, and they stayed around through the end of the evening and were taking it down. It was easier to take down the movie screen that was one inflatable structure and pack it up every night than it was to leave it there through the summer. In this case, where this would be used for so much through the day, it will be easier to leave it there through the night instead of taking it down and setting the whole thing up again every day. Are there other water parks of this type? Question from Jeffrey Tebow, John or Dave.
So yeah, there's one in Summerside, and there's one that one's on the ocean. There is one north of Fredericton in Mactaquac, which is on the river or a lake. It's same thing essentially in that case. And then there's like a dozen and a half or 24 others in Canada. We've spoken to some of them just for guidance over the last year and a half. They're mostly on lakes or rivers. There's a couple on ocean, or maybe one that's on ocean, but most of them are on lakes and rivers. And then around the world, I mean, if you saw our promo video, that was put together from one in the Philippines and one in Lithuania. So there's hundreds, there might be in the low thousands in terms of other inflatable water parks elsewhere in the world on a variety of bodies of water, from ocean to lakes to rivers.
Thank you. Peggy Heffler, what type of noise levels are we going to deal with? There will be no music playing, so it would be the noise of the people that are around. There will be no compressors running. Those of us that live nearest to this are concerned. I certainly recognize that. Michelle Wright says, I want to see permits. That is in the works. Traffic assessment that has been discussed. How many actual trained lifeguards will there be? That has been discussed as part of the presentation. There will be one lifeguard to every 20 people or better. I'm just scrolling through. The questions right now. Couldn't this be placed where there are fewer houses so our view is not restricted, i.e. on the other side of Kinsman Beach in front of Sackville High Sports Stadium? So this is talking about placing the water park directly across the lake. I'm going to share my screen again. And this is Google Earth right now. And what is being asked is, why not by the sports stadium or Sackville High? I'm not sharing my screen. Here we are. So the question is, why not by the Sackville Sports Stadium or Sackville High? The land here is owned by HRM. It is not as accessible through parking. If there are additional reasons for not having it there, Dave or John, would you be able to jump in?
Ultimately, we specifically chose the arena. Well, actually, John, why don't you go ahead, because you made the phone calls.
Yeah, I mean, the hockey rink, just the proximity to the water, the amount of parking, ease of access to HRM, that is why we chose it. In a general sense, it's not very, there on that side of the lake, there's almost no housing in that end of the lake. That's another reason why we chose it. Those are all the main reasons. We didn't talk to the school about using their facility. So I mean, of the 30 or so water parks in Canada, almost all of them are either on provincial parks or municipal parks, which they'd have to go through the process of getting approved from those parks. But that's where most of them are. There's only a couple that are on private, actual private property. Almost all of them are on some type of municipal or provincially owned park. So that's why we focused on this site, was just to have the parking and ease of access to the lake.
Thank you. People will be parking on every street. There will be parking at the Sackville Arena. And I've lost where I was. There we are. Traffic assessments, that's been addressed. Comment from Andrew Roof that a dock can only be 100 feet long by law. Andrew, let's talk about that a little bit later. And by that, I mean, if you could send me an email, I would appreciate it. Brenda, Patty Green says we simply do not have the infrastructure for this. It's being implemented without consultation or permits, investment of research, due diligence, etc. Brenda Gagne, will the negotiations with the government be made public? I would think that the results would be made public. I would not think that the negotiations themselves would be. Laura Beth and Greg Smith would like to see it on the ocean. PEI Park is on the ocean. Neither New Brunswick or PEI have floating water on the lakes.
New Brunswick is on freshwater.
Megan, the reason that I was doing the presentation instead of the owners is it made it easier and more streamlined, recognizing that that question is from nearly an hour ago. Zoning, LDRA land is zoned P1. However, they are permitted to have this water park based on the zoning. Why can't we simply ask the questions as opposed to typing them? It's two reasons. It's faster to type them and it records them for later on. Just in case we miss any of the questions, we will be able to get back to you. Again, I'm working through questions that are now 45 minutes or were entered into 45 minutes ago. The splash park is primarily aimed at younger children, and there are dozens across the province. I'm wondering, John and Dave, if you could address the age of the people who would be able to use this. This is something that we had not covered in the presentation.
So ages 6 to 11 must be accompanied by a guardian, and ages 12 and up can be accompanied by, can go on their own. One thing John didn't mention in terms of our reason for choosing this location was the splash pad was actually a big factor. We looked at the splash pad and thought, like, that is perfect for younger children. And the last thing a parent wants is to, I don't have any kids, so please excuse me, but I would think that the last thing a parent wants is to have to tell their kid, no, sorry, you can't go out on that. At least in the cases where you have younger children, you can drop your older children off at Splashifax and bring your younger children to do another similar, hopefully not quite similar, but in their eyes, hopefully similar water activity. So yeah.
Thank you. Dave, can you speak to other communities on how well other parks have been received?
I mean, the ones that I follow on Instagram, I get one view of it. This is obviously a Zoom call, a Zoom meeting with the concerned members of our community. And I respect that. That's why John and I and Nick and Jess are all here, because we want to hear all this. We're learning things tonight and we want to address all that we can. I see another comment just below, so much negativity, and somebody says, I think this will be good for Sackville. That there are lots of people that feel that way, but I don't want to alienate the people that don't feel that way. I want to listen and then do everything we can to address the concerns. So with that said, I assume, based on what I see on Instagram, I mean, that the other water parks look really fun. Like, that's why John and I are doing this, because we looked at the other water parks and we're just like, holy, I don't know if I should swear, but yeah, holy crap. That looks like a hell of a lot of fun. That would be crazy to have here. And John, tell people about your experience in PEI.
Yeah, I brought some of my nieces to a water park. It actually was in the one in Mactaquac, in Fredericton. And yeah, we spent an hour there, and in that hour, it was the most fun. It's the most I've ever laughed in my life in 1 hour. And that was the experience that got me interested in doing this in Halifax. I think coming out of COVID, it's been a painful 1.5 years for everybody. Stuck at home, not seeing people, not doing what we want. Hopefully, as the vaccines roll out and the restrictions are rolled back, that we think people really just want to have an opportunity to get outside and have fun.
Thank you. Next question, Catherine Minty is asking me if I'm on the board of the LDRA. I used to be. I was, and once I was elected as councillor, I resigned my position from all of the community groups so that I would not have a vested interest and not be in a position of a conflict of interest with any of the community groups. So I was, but I have not been for a little while. Certainly, I was never on the board when discussion of the water park came up. We don't want this on our tiny lake. It's
question of whether this is just proceeding or not, and whether we have.
Hi,
input.
Jeffrey. I'm just going to
Has not
mute
been
you and would appreciate it if you would type your comment into the chat.
It was typed into the chat and it wasn't answered.
It hasn't been answered yet, but it will be. Jeff,
It was one of the first 3 questions, Paul.
Jeff, I'm going to remove you from the meeting if you would continue to interrupt. I am going through the questions as I have them, and if I miss your questions, feel free to email me about it. Thank you. Not sure if using the arena washrooms makes logistical sense. Are there any plans for additional changing areas or washrooms? At this point, no, there are not.
So sorry, I just change rooms. So change rooms, yes. We're just building like if you can envision when you go to a clothing store and you walk in and it's like not an L shape, but like a G shape upside down, and you walk in and you're sheltered and you just have a bench and a hook and you can change. Most people, we assume, will show up in their bathing suits, leave their stuff in their car and come, but we also have some stalls that people can just go in briefly to change their clothes. So yes, that's there. Washrooms will be in the arena. We talked about porta potties. Quite frankly, I think everybody would rather use a real washroom.
Okay, thank you. I usually see one boat on the lake at the best of times when Sackville has their programming going on. There are quite a few boats on the lake. If you are getting permits, that is still in progress. What are the regulatory boards? The provincial and federal and municipal governments, well, approval is required from all of them to some degree. Certainly an application is required from all of them, and that process is in the middle. I'm, again, scrolling through the chat. So the plan is to have people from all over HRM coming to Lower Sackville. How is that not supposed to affect our traffic? The traffic volumes will be limited by the number of people who are able to get on the park at any one time. And I believe that has been addressed earlier. So are there parking issues with the splash pad? At this point, there is not. The parking would happen at Kinsman. For the splash pad itself, for the water park, you would be at the arena. From Chloe, do we need to book in advance? Yes, you would need to book through the splashifax.com website. You would have to agree to a waiver, and a link for a video would be provided to you. I am, again, looking through for Andrew, if HRM bylaws prohibit any vegetation removal and any alteration of any kind shall be permitted within 20 meters of the shoreline or lake. This is something that HRM has been in touch with Splashifax about. This is in relation to the 20-meter buffer. Mr. Russell, how would you feel if it was down the end of the lake and in the view of your home? It is. Cannot be relocated to the other side of the lake. They have talked about it being at the arena and why that was chosen. How will this impact our fireworks, Sackville regattas, etc.? The scope of this will not have an impact on things that are going on at Sackville. That is the best information that I have. As far as fireworks go, this has been a discussion, and the discussion was related to reducing the, deflating it a little bit and making sure that it is protected from the fireworks. The fireworks are far closer to Kinsman Beach and the gazebo area. So there would be a natural safety zone around those fireworks. This is done every year, and the fireworks would be either going straight up, a little bit out, and certainly away from the beach. And working with the fireworks teams, we would make sure that any impact or any shows would be put together with this in mind. As the question was not answered, is this definitely happening, or do we have a say as community members? This is a difficult answer. This is like many other businesses where if it meets the regulatory approval, it can proceed. This is one of the challenging questions that I have had over the past couple of weeks. And that is what we are simply left with. Patty Green, how much is admission? Dave or John?
I guess we want to answer this right now, but we just can't yet because we're not entirely certain of the structure yet. It's COVID dependent. To give you an idea, what we wanted to do originally was all day passes so that people could come and go. They could have fun. They could go eat lunch, come back, just to provide some more value. We don't want to do the sessions specifically. However, we're going to do the sessions certainly as long as COVID makes that the safer and better thing to do. The all-day sessions, of course, we would still have a capacity. It would just allow for more freedom and more value, we feel. But, like handy to $30, that's what things like this cost, whether you go karting or to another water park or any of these other kind of experiences. That's the neighborhood we're talking.
Okay, thank you. It is 9:27. We have committed to, I have committed to end at 9:30. So I'm going to cover one more topic and then ask for closing comments from Dave and Nick. And the final question is from Patty Green that came in at 8:37. Is there oversight under the Amusement Act in Nova Scotia? There is concern about insurance and liability coverage. And we've already discussed the investment in the community to cover restoration of the area post-summer. But we haven't addressed insurance or the Amusement Act. So if you could address that and then take a few minutes to close at the end of that, please.
Go ahead, John, if you want on insurance. You're muted.
Sorry, there we go. Yeah, so of course we have insurance, we have a liability policy, we have business interruption insurance, we have $5 million coverage. So there's no way that we would do this without that. So yeah, insurance is in place. And we really appreciate people coming out tonight. I know it's hard when things are in your backyard. I appreciate that. Everyone wants things to always be the same, and things change. So we are excited to do this summer. We'll try to be the best possible residents that we can. Dave and I will be handy and accessible throughout the summer, as well as our management. Jessica and Nick. So, we'll be around, we'll be available, we'll be accessible. And if there's particular concerns from the community throughout the summer, please reach out to us. A couple other things that we didn't put in here that we're intending to do. We're going to have a monthly, or we're thinking probably like 3 to 4 times this summer. We're going to have our staff get together and take a bunch of time and do cleanup around the lake. So we'll be going. So we have 2 little Zodiacs, 12-foot Zodiacs with electric motor on them. And so we'll be going around and whatever trail is accessible from around the outside, be doing cleanup of any garbage that we can find on the lake, as well as making sure that we keep our space over at the hockey rink very, very clean. So that's part of what our night staff responsibility, really, to make sure that there, any garbage around is picked up daily. And so, I really appreciate people's concern about that. It's an important subject. So I think we'll just leave it at that. And thank you for your time tonight.
Okay. Thank you very much. Dave, is there anything that you would like to add?
I don't have anything substantive to add. I've tried, I want to scroll through. I read, I think, every single question during the presentation, and I am trying to scroll through the rest. It's in my nature to try to reply to every single thing. So it's hard to leave at 9:30 and not respond to every single thing. I guess I want to say that there are some of you that I have been in contact with, that I have had phone discussions with. There are some who have emailed and I've replied with my phone number. And some I've heard from you and some I haven't. So, I do have a limited amount of time in the day. And I do have a couple other businesses, but I have quite a bit of emotional energy to talk on the phone and to discuss things and to hear people. So for those of you who are particularly concerned and want to be heard, we have already actually made specific changes to our plans because of specific requests and specific things that people have brought to us that made sense, that were things that we hadn't thought of or hadn't thought enough about. So I guess I would say that, write us an email and, make good points calmly, please, respectfully, please. We're also human beings. And like I said at the beginning, John and I really just set out to do this because we thought it would be fun, and we thought it would be fun for a lot of other people. And based on the response we've seen, that's that's how it's been received. I cannot tell you the number of kids and adults that I've heard from who are excited about it. I just hope that we can share that with some of you and be good neighbors.
Thank you very much. It is 9:30, so I'm going to call this meeting or this public information meeting to a close. And I just wanted to put the slide back up that has our contact information on it. If you have any further questions, any concerns, we weren't able to address all of the questions by any stretch. And I didn't expect that we would be able to, but we certainly tried. If you would like to get in touch with us, you can reach Splashifax by sending an email to hello@splashifax.com or by getting in touch with me at paul.russell@halifax.ca. Thank you very much, everybody, for your time and your attention and your concern about our environment, about the lake, about our community. I'm doing my best, and a number of other people are doing their best as well to make Sackville an even better place to live. Have a good night, everybody.